Great to talk to you guys this morning. I've got a top-of-the-line techno expert who will be joining me this morning. And it's always nice to be able to attract industry leaders to work with us to help SMEs in South Africa. And of course, this morning is one of the most important topics. We do know, digitization, the digital world. And I'm sure 6-7 months ago, none of us would ever have imagined what's lying ahead of us in the world of digital transformation. But in a couple of minutes, I'm going to, of course, introduce our guest speaker this morning. And but we'll wait for a few more seconds before we do that. But from my side, Mike Anderson, head of NSBC, a very big welcome to you guys this morning. It's always an absolute privilege to host great people and also to have our attendees. What's amazing about this, Jenny, is that traditionally we do a lot of events and normally they're kind of localized, but here, we're getting guests from New York City, from Dubai, from Cape Town and Durban and Uppington and Port Nolloth and you name it. So in the digital world now, we are able to do such different things, and the audience is spread out, and of course, we're truly grateful for that. Belinda, morning to you. And Petrus, morning to you. And so what I'm going to do is that, first of all, Jenny, a very big welcome to you, Jenny Pather, who's the executive head of Trading Bridge, Vodacom Financial Services. Jenny, a big welcome this morning. Very grateful for your time. I know you must be, I know you are all busy, especially in the digital world right now. But Jenny, a big welcome to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you to all the attendees for making time to hear us today. Quite excited about the topic, very passionate about it. So looking forward to the discussion.
Great, Jenny. And what I will do, I'm going to refer to a couple of key questions. And as you know, historically, these webinar Wednesday sessions are interactive on a Q&A basis. So I'm going to look away every few minutes so I can refer to some good questions. But to our guests, our attendees, if you've got any questions, please put them on the chat line. If we don't manage to answer them, we will come back to you very quickly after the event. But also, again, just a couple of normal rules. If for whatever reason we lose you, we will be back very quickly. With technology, things can go wrong, but we will assure you that we resume very fast and continue with our conversation this morning. Jenny, if you can give us an insight into Vodacom Financial Services, I'd be grateful for that.
Thanks, Mike. So Vodacom Financial Services is a fintech company embedded within Vodacom itself. Our portfolio spans offerings in insurance, lending, and payments. And most recently, we actually launched quite innovative SME offerings like a SME lending proposition called VodaLend, as well as a payment POS terminal that's targeted at the small merchants. So we do a lot of innovative offerings in that space. Most recently, we added the Trading Bridge portfolio, which I look after. And you can look forward to some investment offerings coming through in a couple of months. Just some background on financial services within Vodacom. In just under 3 years, we've managed to grow our base of customers from 4.4 million customers to 9.9, generating a revenue of just around 1.1 billion in 2020. So quite an exciting time for Vodacom Financial Services, especially on the back of our recent announcement of our Alipay partnership, where we're going to use that to actually create some really innovative offerings for our consumers, but also for our SME customers specifically. So quite excited, and I'd say to all our attendees today, look out for that in the media. Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, Jenny, just a bit of, if you can give us a little bit about yourself and, of course, the role that you play at Vodacom Trading Bridge.
Sure. Yeah, I've got quite a technology background. So I've spent many years focusing on platforms, spanning from business to business, IoT, cloud. But I'm quite passionate about using technology to solve real world problems, real customer needs, real customer pain points, and bringing customer experience to the forefront of everything we do. Now, at Trading Bridge, my role is to work with both large customers and small customers, really to achieve their digital goals. Just for everyone's awareness, Trading Bridge is quite a powerful platform. It enables both large and small customers to interact in the digital supply chain, so connecting you essentially to your network of partners. It's quite vast. We switch around 84 million transactions annually to the value of 200 billion rands per annum. And as you guys know, COVID has disrupted supply chains all around. It's brought to the forefront, the need for resilience, the need for end-to-end visibility, and we really help our customers to achieve that at Trading Bridge. But more than that, what we're doing is a large focus is making sure that we enable our small merchant and our small suppliers to actually be part of this ecosystem and not be left behind from the digital transformation journeys that are happening today. Yeah, over to you, Mike.
Yes, thank you for that. Jenny, I've got a quick question in between. Peter wants to know more about your payment solutions.
Sure. So we've got quite an array of payment solutions ranging from an online payment gateway. So if you have your own online shop, you can consume our online payment gateway. But we also have QR codes in market. We have what we're calling a quicker device. So it's very much a small mobile payment acceptance device. And then we have what we call our VodaPay Max, which is an Android-based POS terminal. So it allows you to accept debit cards, credit cards. It can do a little bit of printing, but it can also run any Android application on it. And eventually what we are doing is we're going to place an ordering application on that. We're going to be able to allow you to vend VASs like airtime, data, etc. So quite a powerful payment device. I hope I've answered your question.
Of course, Jen, that was great. And as we do know, if there's any further to that, we will, of course, forward that to you. Jen, I've got a great question here. A business has become more complex. What role does digital transformation play in this evolving landscape, especially for small businesses?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, so the pandemic has brought to light the need for businesses to really be built for resilience in order to survive through this challenging times. But what it's done, it's also brought to the forefront a new customer behavior, new ways of working, and as we all call it these days, a new normal. And this is forcing organizations to pivot or be left behind. And what we're finding is that the digital pivot is actually something that's going to remain. And Mike, you yourself said up front is that you had to pivot. I mean, this would have been a face-to-face conversation, probably localized, but you had to pivot, and this has now opened up more digital streams in terms of the audience you're getting into these areas. Another example I want to give you is I'm quite a yoga kind of fanatic, so I love my yoga classes. And when we were fully locked down, my yoga instructor had to pivot. She had to get on, buy a Zoom subscription, get the yoga classes online, but she forced us as well to put on our videos so that she could engage, interact with us. So she had to digitally pivot. But what she's done now that she's still having physical classes is she's kept it because she's reached a larger audience. So it allows you to actually, diversify your customer base. So where does this leave, your small businesses? It's clear you need to adapt, or you're going to perish in these very challenging times. And what the stats show that if businesses invest in digitization, they will grow 3 times faster or 3 times more than those that don't. So SMEs need to really look at investing in key areas to survive in order to be able to get through these challenging times.
Jenny, thank you for that. And just a question from Rion. These chats are going pretty fast, so I'm keeping it quick. He wants to know, do you see a big transformation to digital platforms from the old way of working?
Absolutely. It's quite important for organizations to embrace the platform way of working. It enables an organization to really scale. And as we go through the conversation today, you'll see we'll touch on the different ways that an SME can embrace the digital platforms that are out there.
Great. Jenny, another good question coming through. What do we mean by digitizing a business, and where would an SME even start off this process?
It's a good question, Mike. Digitization is so broad and encompasses everything, whether it's cloud services, whether it's automation of processes, whether it's e-commerce, digital marketing, and then cybersecurity, as you can imagine, is quite important. But what's important is not to think that a business needs to do everything today, and you don't need to digitize every part of your business. The key is to evaluate. And that what I mean by that is evaluate where your pain points is. Where is your organization burning the most? Where are you spending the most money, the most time, the most effort? Is it with diversifying your customer base? Is it with attracting new customers? Is it managing your suppliers? Maybe it's your supply chain. Or is it actually just enabling your employees to work remotely and work digitally? So you need to start with that evaluation so that you can attack your digital strategy in the points where you need it the most.
Thank you, Jenny. I've got a great question here from Patricia coming through. She wants to know, what are the digital solutions for micro SMEs based in the rural areas?
Yeah, good question. So one of the things that we at Financial Services is working on is quite a few solutions for customers in the rural base. Aside from a connectivity and access perspective, there's solutions around there, but also to enable them to start connecting into digital ecosystems. So like getting, all you need is a basic internet connection. You'd be able to access a platform. You'd be able to connect in and get visibility of your brand, provide, connect into suppliers. All of those elements is all enabled via a simple internet connection. So there's various platforms there. There's various mechanisms in order to do that. It really depends on the SME need, what they're trying to achieve from their digital goals, but there is items in the market.
Jenny, just reverting back to a previous question, I just wanted to, of course, talk about Patricia's question there. When I asked, what do you mean by digitizing a business, and where would an SME even start the process? How do you start with that, Jenny, and how do you know what evaluating is?
Absolutely. It's key to remember that digital transformation is not just using technology for the sake of technology. It's about using it wisely to do what you do and do it even better. It's about using technology to move your organization to the next level. And that's important. There's lots of buzzwords out: fourth industrial revolution, Internet of Things, augmented reality, machine learning, and the list goes on and on. But these are intimidating, it's overwhelming, albeit for a small business not knowing where to start and where do they actually put their focus, where do they put their money. And it's quite an important thing in terms of where they do their investments. So immediate thoughts for an SME: it's too complex, it's too expensive, don't want to do it. But the reality of embracing digital can be as simple as starting to make your organization an information-enabled organization. I'm quite passionate about that, and I think I'm going to touch on that quite a bit in today's discussion. It's important to understand your customers. It's important to understand how you operate your business, but making sure that you enable that with underpinning information. So you need to, if relevant, you can use fancy tech. I mean, if you need to use drones and you need to do that, albeit, I mean, it's fantastic. It'll take you to the next level. But what I'm saying is you need to start with the basics. Start with empowering yourself with information and enabling your business with that so that you make informed decisions. Over to you, Mike.
Jenny, why is this all so important right now?
So look, businesses have already started to embrace a digital strategy even before these challenging times, even before COVID. I often say what COVID's done is just really thrown gasoline over some of these initiatives that we had. It's forced us to embrace the digital way of working, and it's happened in weeks, months, instead of previously thought it would be years. So the digital acceleration of your business model in order to add new revenue streams, digital streams to your business, that's one of the best things that you can do to stay alive now. but also to future-proof your business going forward. But what you need to do is step back and look at what other leaders are doing. What are your competitors doing in the market? And you need to be careful not to want to do it all. A recent survey carried out by TransUnion quite recently, a couple of weeks ago, indicates that 59% of small businesses needed help attracting new customers. So in my opinion, where do you start? You start with your customer. Over to you, Mike.
Jenny, what should we be talking to our customer about right now?
So often at Trading Bridge, what we often say is that your journey starts with understanding your customer. And what do I mean that? You need to put your customer at the forefront of your transformation journey. Are you speaking to solving a customer need, a customer pain point? And if your product actually addresses this and you do it well, you'll have returning customers. It's important to understand that if you're digitizing a business that has the foundation of a customer need, a customer pain point being resolved, it's far easier than a business that does not do that today. So what am I saying? You essentially need to understand your customer, and you need to understand their wants and their needs. One of the things that stands out for me from a book that I read by Salim Ismail called Exponential Organizations, sometimes called 10X Organizations, Uber is a good example of that, is that he speaks about what we call a massive transformative purpose. So what is the purpose of your organization? And if you're underpinning your organization with a key purpose, it allows you to talk to customers' principles and values. And in today's world, as you know, customers want to align to the principles and the values of your organization. And if you start there, they feel connected to you. And once they start feeling connected to you, you can then start looking at, are you visible to your customers? Can they find you? How do you interact with them? And what is the expectation from them? And what experience are you leaving your customers with? And most importantly, what is the service you're delivering? And these things are fundamental for you to understand how you actually pivot in order to reach your customers.
Right, Jenny. Jenny, why is the focus on the customer so important? Right, it's always been important, but specifically now.
So knowing your customer is critical, as I said, in order to service them, but also keep them returning, especially during these times. You need to keep them returning. One of the great tools out there, and it's nothing new, but there's many variants out there. It's called a CRM system, customer relationship management system. It helps you store all of the information around your customers. Now, past experiences, present. So what does this do for you? Helps with your sales management, helps with segmenting your customers, helps with personalizing offerings, and as you build your pipeline. What I've mentioned earlier is about your organization becoming an information-enabled organization and your first data collection point that I would recommend for any business is everything about your customer, their needs, their wants, their buying patterns, and that helps you personalize your offers for your customer. More and more, what we are seeing is people are spending more time indoors. That means they're also spending a lot more time online, in social mediums, etc. Now, those are one of the opportunities for you to actually attract those customers. Make those consumers actually part of your customer base. Get your brand out there and reach those customers. One of the other things that you've seen, would have seen expand in the recent times is social influencers. And they can really, really help with increasing your sales and your customer reach. Now, I'll give you an example. I follow quite a few stylists on Instagram. And this one particular stylist was actually showing off products from a local popular retailer. And I particularly liked a few items. I went straight to the site, put those items in my basket. And believe it or not, within a few hours and even the next day, a couple of those items were out of stock. Now, it shows you the power of how you could use a social influencer in order to ramp up your sales and really get your product name out there. So using these techniques, and it's simple techniques, it's not going to cost you. It's simple techniques to really get your brand out there. But messaging is important. So you need to do the research. You need to understand your customer base. That's why I say customers are so important. Also, understand what your customers are saying about you. Are you listening to them in terms of what your brand is? And you need to also put that out there. So if you're getting raving reviews, let your other customers hear that. Customers are demanding today, as you know. They want to know you. They want you to know them. They want to hear you. They want you to hear them. Be engaged. But also, more importantly, they want you to delight them. And I always say that as much as a digital transformation journey, digital strategy is important, nothing is going to outpower good service. Good service, good product, and delighting a customer must underpin everything that you do. Over to you, Mike.
Great, Jenny. Yes, just to help with Cameron's question here, if you are suffering with a poor signal, or if your signal keeps cutting off, yes, there will be a replay and there will be a recording of this interview. So, Cameron, I hope that I've answered your question. Coming back to another great question, Jenny, what about the world of online? Should we really be paying that much attention to the digital world?
Absolutely, Mike. I'm very passionate about indicating that businesses all around needs to have a digital footprint. COVID, as we said, has forced most businesses to go online. Even the traditional brick and mortar stores has now got, has pivoted and has got an online presence. What's become more critical now than ever is for SMEs to have a digital footprint so that they can be found, so that their brand can be out there. And what the digital world does for you is it opens up new digital streams. The survey I mentioned earlier that TransUnion ran surveyed a host of SME customers. 29% of these SMEs said they needed help diversifying their customer base. 24% of these said they needed help with a marketing approach. Now, having a digital presence, whether it's a website, whether you're using social media, now this helps you get your brand out there, and it's a relatively low-cost marketing approach for the SMEs to really reach their customers. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You start with social media, you then move to your own website, and then you move to an online store. So the new normal actually demands that you engage digitally, that you get a digital footprint out there. Over to you, Mike.
Yeah, Jenny, just to add to that, I know we spoke briefly offline, and, when the pandemic hit South Africa and the world, it really struck us towards the end of March. NSBC traditionally, is focused incredibly on face-to-face events, exhibitions, conferences, breakfast networks, workshops, you name it. And within a matter of a few days, we transformed everything into the digital world. Virtual breakfast forums, and many people say that our virtual networking forums are actually more productive and more positive and giving more return on investment than a traditional one. And the business show, which was the largest event in the world for anyone starting or running a business, went digital within a few days. So, and if you look at that side, you may look at that and say, wow, what an expense. Well, you know what? It was so cost effective. But the outcome is that it's taking us to a new level.
Exactly.
We will certainly take some aspects back to the old way, but in the whole, we will continue doing what we're doing, and that's the new world we live in. So we are very excited. We've grown because of that. We've embraced the digital world. And me personally, before this pandemic, I'd never done a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting or anything like that. So from the NSBC side, working with small businesses, if you choose to, I know our next question is coming up, it can be extremely cost effective, but do it step by step and embrace it, because that's the new world. But Jenny, just another question, and to add to that, is that how small businesses can save money on IT infrastructure?
Thanks, Mike. So, we said all this technology stuff can be quite intimidating and overwhelming because there's such a vast array out there and being thrown out at SMEs. But when investing in technology, it's important to keep a few pointers in upfront. Firstly, make sure you use cloud services, a true pay-as-you-use services. Now, you're a small business. You have your core functions. You do not have the time to have on-premise IT or a set of IT resources to need to look after this. Use the experts. There's many out there, so you don't have to worry about things like backups, disaster recovery, scalability, cybersecurity. The experts will do that for you. So pay-as-you-use IT managed service is the way to go. It frees up the time for you to focus on your core functions of your organization. The second is, if you're investing in software, make sure that it's mobile enabled. We're gone are the days where you need to be forced to work on a laptop. You should be able to access any function or any feature of any software you invest on a mobile device, whether you're doing a video call, whether you need to look at your latest sales, your performance, or whether you need to collaborate with your team on a project. It's important that you enable yourself with mobile solutions that can range between various sets of devices that you may have access to, so that doesn't interrupt in your productivity. But thirdly, one of the important points I want to leave attendees today with is you need to partner right. Especially if IT is not your core focus, then partner right with those guys that have the experts in doing that. There's lots of organizations out there that's created SME packages focusing on SME business in a box propositions to get you started. And they will help you with this journey so that you don't have to be intimidated and overwhelmed with the technologies that's out there. And it helps you to get started and really grow in this digital journey. The last item that I want to actually talk to you about is don't be afraid of robotics. Chatbots has been there for quite a while, but it's come to the forefront even more now. And where I think an SME can really use these robotics processes to automate some of their functions is, a good example is, if you need to respond to customer queries, why not use a chatbot to do that? That removes the need for you to scale your organization when you can automate certain processes so that you can use your resources more effectively in other functions. So it's important that you use these technologies and partner right to get it off the ground quickly. Remember, technology underpins your transformation. So it's important that you invest correctly. You partner right so that your cloud services and your security scales as you scale. So if you grow, you need whatever you invested in to grow with you. Over to you, Mike.
Great, Jenny. Yes. Jenny, what role do your employees play in this new world, since you're talking about removing the human and replacing them with AI?
So employees, it's quite an important, cog in the entire digitization journey. They're your biggest asset, right? And they're your key source of ideas, and they're going to help reshape your business. So as a leader of a small business, you need to make sure that you're engaging your employees correctly as well. So you need to make sure that they're digitally aware, digitally educated, and can work remotely and digitally. So firstly, are they able to work successfully remotely? How are you enabling them on this journey? And how are you collaborating as a team in terms of getting things done on a daily basis? So there's several SME tools. A lot of them are free in terms of how you can use this to actually leverage some of these functions to make sure that your employees are performing adequately in the digital environment. But also consider using some of the free courses that's out there, free training to digitally educate your employees. It's quite important, especially from a cybersecurity perspective, especially from, understanding what this new normal, the new ways of working. It's important to embrace this and make sure that your employees are equipped to deal with this new way of working. I hope that
Yeah,
makes
Jenny,
sense.
yeah, Jenny, 100% right. You know, the thing is, as we always know, we've got to keep challenging the status quo. We've got to learn new things. We've got to try new things. We've got to do new things. We've got to be calm and remain positive and come out of this stronger, because there's another world coming. And the digital world is that world. And of course, we know that many SMEs have embraced it quickly. But like you say, partner with the right people, partner with the right organizations. Keep it simple, one step at a time. But have that attitude to really adapt and do, because, of course, it is the way of the future. But just before I come to the final comment, which you can allude to, Jenny, is that if our attendees have got any questions, once Jenny's finished with the next point, please post them and we will do our best to answer them. So, Jenny, this is your statement, of course. Digitization is a journey, not a destination. So try not to allow yourself to get overwhelmed or put you off. It will be one of the best investments that you have ever made. Please, if you can add to that, Jenny.
Yes, Mike, an item that I've left to the last is around big data. And it goes back to the statement I made when we started the conversation, is around making your business an information-enabled business. We often say that data is the new oil of these times. And what that means is really underpins and informs every decision we make. But most importantly, timeous and accurate data is what's important. So as you start to accumulate data about your customers, data about your suppliers, make sure you invest in actually extracting the information and analyzing, so that you inform the way you pivot, the way you personalize your offerings for your customer. Without this data collection analysis, companies, organizations are really going to stumble in the dark to actually make decisions on how to actually take your organization to the next level. So yeah, there are millions of companies facing the contingency of COVID-19. It threatens the continuity of many organizations, and it's very, very challenging times. However, there's many tools out there to help you pivot. And as I said, you need to also reach out to the right partners to enable you and help you minimize the impact of these challenging times. You just have to learn to use these effectively and take advantage of the benefits. And remember, as you said, digitization is not an end state. It's a journey. You need to embrace it. Don't be fearful of it. And it will take your organization to the next level. It's taking what you do to better levels. Thanks,
Right,
Mike.
Jenny, Sherrod wants to know, do you blog?
I don't at the moment, but I know Aidan's on the line and he's been saying that I need to start, so I probably will.
We all do. Yeah, Jenny, I just want to say, it's been enormous. Thank you. And, we do know what you guys do, and you provide incredible digital solutions in this new world, and you always have, but especially now. And we do know that for slick, seamless transformation, we do know that you guys are there to help. And I don't know if there's where we can post on the chat line how people can get hold of your team if they've got any further questions. If we can post that now, it'd be great to see if people want to engage further about your solutions, about further assistance, of course, and taking that step-by-step approach into that digital transformation. And, our message from the NSBC, it's absolutely crucial that every SME who is serious about prospering in the future needs to take action now, even if it's that one tiny step towards where you want to go. We've got some incredible stories coming through where wonderful clothing stores have gone completely online. Yep. And what we have learned, and like you've said, is that it's a lot more cost effective to transform than people realize. As long as you partner with the right partners, and of course you take one tiny step at a time and you focus on the priority up front. And in that way, before you know it, like for example, you've said that, Jenny, social media is a great way to start. That online store is a great way if that's where your business belongs to, of course. And it just can go on. And, once you get into it, and once you start that process, And once you become familiar with it, you know, the digital world will help you accelerate your success quickly, and you'll probably become out of this stronger than ever before. And that's the intention, isn't it? You know, I was in a global conference the other day, and what's coming out now, Jenny, you probably know that the world's biggest companies of the future have been born during the pandemic, and because they've chosen to. You know, so whatever we do in life, and like digital and other stuff, you know, we can choose to be successful, and we can choose to take action, and we need to move on that. So Vanessa says it would be great to understand the solutions on offer for service businesses. Jenny, I'm not sure if you can quickly add to that. So she's saying there on the right, it would be great to understand the solutions on offer for service businesses.
So I think from a digitization, obviously I would need to understand what kind of services Vanessa is referring to, but I would think the principles is still the same. It's about understanding the customers that you're addressing from a service perspective, getting that message clear to your customers, understanding the base of customers. How do you personalize your offering to them? How do you reach them? How do they engage you? The consumer of the future is quite a demanding consumer, whether they're purchasing a dress of an online shop, or whether they're consuming an actual service from you. The principles are the same. So I would say there isn't a difference whether you're actually selling a physical product or a service. You should apply the same principles to your digital journey.
Mm-hmm. Jenny, thank you for that. I had a question earlier. You probably need more information though. The question was, you know, is there a monthly subscription fee to the e-commerce website payment gateway? I'm not sure if you can add on to that, but that was kind of the question we got.
So I would suggest that the individual reaches out to us. I'm sure Aidan has posted our contact details, but typically that there would be a transaction fee, but we're quite innovative in our offerings, and we are quite targeted at SMEs, so it's quite appealing rates.
Great. Jenny, a closing message?
Yeah, you know, a digital journey is future-proofing your organization, so embrace it. As I said up front, don't use technology just for the sake of technology. Make sure that your digital goals is aiming at transforming your business to take it to the next level, and it will future-proof you for the next pandemic. So yeah. It was a fantastic discussion. Thanks for everyone for making the time to hear us. Quite passionate about this, and happy for people to reach out if they want to discuss any item further.
So Jenny Pather, the executive head, of course, of Trading Bridge, Vodacom Financial Services. We're very grateful. The insights were invaluable. And I know that you've paved the way for enormous digitization in the SME world. And we thank you for that. And we are certainly look forward to engaging again in due course. And to our attendees, we are certainly grateful. You know, every second Wednesday we do Webinar Wednesday, and like you, Jenny, our speakers are enormous, and they've given some enormous insight into helping SMEs during these trying times. So to our attendees, we're grateful that you've taken your time out to attend this morning. And again, Jenny, of course, very grateful for your insights. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.